Do you ever ask yourself that question? Do I actually have a gambling problem? Not in the middle of the action, not when the game's on the line. I mean later. When the room's quiet. When you're sitting there with your phone screen lighting up your face, and you've already refreshed the score 6 times in the last minute. You tell yourself you're just competitive. You like the rush. You like to have a little action, but you don't realize how deep that word goes. Action. Because once you've lived in that world long enough, silence starts to feel unbearable. Peace starts to feel like withdrawal. There's a test used by psychologists around the world. 9 questions. It's called the Problem Gambling Severity Index, the PGSI. And if you answer them honestly, it'll tell you a lot more about yourself than you might want to hear. Grab a pen. You'll score each question from 0 to 3. 0 means never. 1 means sometimes. 2 means most of the time. 3 means almost always. Be honest. No one's watching. Question 1. Have you ever bet more than you could really afford to lose? I don't mean what's left in your account. I mean the kind of money that changes your week if it disappears. The rent money. The car payment. The money you told yourself you'd replace next paycheck. When you cross that line, you're not gambling for fun anymore. You're gambling for relief. And the worst part? It actually works for a while. Until it doesn't. Question 2. Have you needed to gamble with larger amounts of money just to feel the same excitement? That's tolerance. It's what every addict develops. Your brain adapts. What used to make your hands shake with adrenaline now barely moves the needle. You need a little more. Then a lot more. The same way a drinker starts with beer and ends up with whiskey, the gambler goes from $20 to $2,000 without even noticing the climb. Because it's not about the money anymore. It's about recreating that first high, the one that made everything else disappear. Question 3. When you lose, do you go back another day to try to win it back? That's chasing losses. And if that one hits, it hits deep. Because chasing losses feels logical in the moment. You tell yourself, I'm not going to lose again, I'm due. But the truth is, you're not chasing money. You're chasing control. You're chasing the version of yourself who walked in with confidence and left empty. You're trying to erase the memory that you're not in control anymore. But every chase digs the hole deeper. You can't get even when the house never plays fair. Question 4. Have you ever borrowed money or sold something to gamble? Maybe you called it moving money around. Maybe you told yourself it wasn't really borrowing because you'd pay it back tomorrow. But that's the moment gambling stops being a game and starts being a parasite. It feeds on whatever's closest: savings, credit, trust, relationships, and it always wants more. Every addiction has a moment when it stops costing money and starts costing people. Question 5. Have you ever felt that you might have a problem with gambling? That's the quiet voice that comes in between bets. Not the one that talks you into it, the other one. The one that says, I don't think I can keep doing this. That voice doesn't come from nowhere. People who gamble responsibly don't question their own sanity after a win or loss. The fact that you're watching this right now means part of you already knows. Question 6. Has gambling caused you stress, anxiety, or health problems? You might tell yourself gambling helps you escape, that it's how you unwind or cope with pressure. But when your escape becomes the source of your anxiety, that's not relief, that's entrapment. When you're checking your balance at red lights, refreshing scores in the middle of a conversation, lying in bed staring at the ceiling because a parlay missed by one leg. That's your nervous system stuck in survival mode. You're living in a constant loop of hope and panic. You can't relax because the next result always decides how you're allowed to feel. Question 7. Have people criticized your gambling or said they think you have a problem? Maybe you laughed it off. Maybe you told them they don't get it. But there's a reason that hits you the wrong way. When someone who knows you says they're worried, that's not judgment. It's recognition. They've seen the change, the shorter fuse, the silence, the distance. And they know that something else has taken your attention. Even if you can't admit it yet. Question 8. Has gambling caused financial problems for you or your household? This is where most people start lying. Because the number in your bank account doesn't tell the full story. It's the little things, the rough week that becomes a rough month. The things you stop buying because you're covering a hole you don't talk about. The tension when someone asks where the money went. The guilt when payday doesn't feel like relief anymore. It feels like a reset button for another cycle. Question 9. Have you ever felt guilty about the way you gamble or what happens when you do? Guilt is the final stage before acceptance. It's the light on the dashboard that never goes off. You try to drown it out with another bet, another shot, another distraction, but it always comes back when it's quiet. And you start to realize it's not about the losses anymore. It's about what the habit is taking from you, piece by piece. Your time, your focus, your peace. And the worst part? It's stealing your ability to feel joy without it. Now add up your numbers. 0 means you're probably gambling casually with little or no harm. 1 to 2 means low risk. It's creeping in, but you're still steering the ship. 3 to 7 means moderate risk. You're already seeing consequences, but you keep telling yourself it's fine. That's where denial lives. 8 or more means you're in the red zone. That's not judgment, it's reality. It means gambling has started writing the story for you. And if you hesitated to total your score, if you folded the paper and told yourself you'd finish later, that hesitation says more than the number ever will. Because deep down, you already know where you stand. You just haven't decided what you're going to do about it yet. There's a moment in every gambler's life when silence hits different. When you can hear your own thoughts again. And they don't sound like odds or spreads or parlays. They sound like someone you used to be, someone who didn't need the game to feel alive. That person's still in there. But every day you keep betting, you're betting against them. And the house always wins.